In today's video, we're going to be exploring the question, how deep can you go in your business? We're going to be using real life examples like affiliate, lead gen, insurance, and real estate. Talk about the different levels of depth each business model can go. Talk about the different leverage points you have to reach these levels, and then how your lifestyle changes as you reach these different levels. So by the end of this, your brain will be turning on how deep you can go within your business and if you even want to. All right. Last year, we did 30 million in our info coaching business. We've now done 72 million over now in cash collected, and I'm not selling you anything. Everything on the channel is to share what did work, what didn't work for us, and what we're actively doing now to scale to 100 million a year, all with the goal of finding top talent, opportunities, and networking with cool people doing the same. So let's get into it. Now, this all came from a conversation I had yesterday, and it was specific to real estate. So I am going to dumb this down. This is not an exact. This is not the only way this goes, and I'm going to talk through that as we go. But let's kick this off. So let's talk affiliate, lead gen, agency, info, SaaS, insurance, and real estate. Now, the idea behind what I'm getting at here is you can go as deep or as wide as you want, literally in any direction with these different business models, with anything that you do, okay? So let's use an affiliate as an example. And again, I am dumbing this down and I will explain through that. So as an affiliate or lead gen, okay? And I'm gonna use exact examples. You can be a media buyer and run mass amounts of affiliate. You can then scale up, level up to an offer owner. From an offer owner, you can go to a network owner that has many offers. And then from a network owner, you can become a software owner. Now let's use an exact example. Adam Young, who's on the podcast, or on video on this YouTube, was talking about how he went from being a media buyer to essentially an offer owner, to then being part of many networks, to then owning a software that all of them run through. All of this is an example of saying, how deep can you go within the business model you're in? Anything that you do, and this is like direct quote basically from Hormozy as an example, and he uses garage doors, I think, is the one he talks about, but it's like any business can be $100 million business. Most businesses can be $1 billion business, and only a few businesses can be $1 trillion businesses, for example, okay? So meaning that you can be installer, you can be someone who's on a crew installing a garage door. You can be the person who owns the garage door installation company. You can be the person who makes the garage doors. You can be the person who owns the company that makes and installs them. And then you can be the conglomerate across the entire entire world that does that exact thing. You can do that within garbage. Let's use insurance as an example here. I know somebody who's a life insurance agent. One of the first times we had a conversation, it was, okay, so like, what's the next step? So do you want to do, because there is depth within the specific role. So an example here with media buyer, before I go back to insurance, somebody who's a media buyer, there's a big difference between somebody who spends $1,000 a day being a solo affiliate basically, and somebody who spends $600,000 a day, $2 million a day across different offers. Right? This is where you get into width. Across different offers or in one and goes extremely deep. Okay. So back to the insurance example, what was the goal of the insurance agent? Was it to then be an insurance agent and write $1 million, $2 million bucks? Was it then to have a team under him, either admin or other agents would be the next rung? There's online guys, not to be, doxed or named, that are insurance agents that then now recruit other people to join their thing and like almost MLM-y kind of get the override on them for bringing them in. So now you're skill stacking where you are now recruiting people in, you're teaching the thing that you know how to do well, and you're making overrides on them while also being a producer. So there's that layer. The next is you own the entire group because you are a cog in this wheel, and you now own the group that has multiple of you, which requires a different level of skill, which is managing the people, which is the entire legal department, which is the entire, that. Then are you one of the insurance companies of the products you're selling? Do you own Prudential, and are you them? And then, however far you can go beyond that. Are you the bank that then finances behind them? Are you like the rung in which you go can relatively be infinitely scaled? Okay. And that's the entire concept of today. It's not to say affiliate or lead gen, it's only these, because it's not. It's not just media buyers, not just offer owners, not just networks, it's not just softwares. There are rungs and levels of depth you can go within all of these. Okay. So this is stolen from Naval. So smart. And then another Hormozy one, he changed these to all C's, I think, in one of his. But essentially the points of leverage you have are labor, capital, media, and code. Okay. So like in real life, what that looks like, labor is like more people. So the insurance example is you're having more agents sell for you under you. Same thing in a real estate example. You're a real estate agent. You want to then go up to a real estate broker. That's actually the example I use down here, but I'm talking about lifestyle. So labor is more people. That is a team. That is Essentially that, right? It's like you have a factory, you now have more people making it. If you're making a widget, you now have 100 people under you that are making the widget for you. Capital, two-sided one, but OPM. So essentially either your capital is working for you and providing leverage, or you are using other people's money in the same way to provide leverage internal. Okay. So the idea being that your money can work for you or within confines of you're using someone else's money for max amount of leverage. Media, the idea that content and how it is produced can spread at like an exponential rate. And instead of you having a conversation once, it's like the VSL idea. It's like you having a conversation, doing a sales pitch one time versus that one sales pitch going to 1,000 or 100,000 or 10 million people is the same. It's and from one to one, now it goes to one to many. Code, the idea being this cost that's here. There's no labor behind it. It doesn't require any of these things. It's very low cost, not no cost. It's very low cost and it has infinite scaling ability. So that's your software, that's your networks, right? You can stack these on top of each other. So let's go back up here and go to agency model, and I'll talk a little bit on like depth versus width because I'm trying to cover a lot of things here. But idea being, I know here, actually even better example. There is somebody in Info that I was talking to that, for example, was selling everything to women. Okay. They got to a couple $1,000,000 a month and said, perfect. Now I'm going to take the exact same service, basically rebrand it and send it and sell it to men. Okay. Making $2-3 million a month, crushing it. Easy opportunity to make a couple $100,000 over here doing this. Now, that is going wider. There's overlap, no doubt. It's not like they're going to start like a painting business and they're over here doing, a women's, supplement, whatever company. But the depth in which you could go to sell to a market of women for a specific thing is so vast that like your brain cannot comprehend it. Okay. So I'm using this as an example, but in our business, for example, like no one would even know who we are if we're doing hundreds of millions of dollars. Like you're talking like it is so small of the market that I often question, and I have this conversation with myself all the time. And that's kind of why I'm talking about this is how deep can you go in something? How deep do you want to go into something? And how much does it change your life if it does, either in the positive or the negative? Because there are major different things that happen, different skills you need to stack, different types of leverage you need in order to get to these other levels that then change your lifestyle vastly in a good way and potentially a bad way, depending on how you do it. Okay. So let's use real estate as an example. These are three simple. When I put real estate up there, I was actually thinking about something else and I'll go into both. But for real estate, you can be a real estate agent. You can then be a real estate agent brokerage. So you have all the agents under you. So you have the labor, right? Leverage. Or you could be a real estate software. As an example, this is a bad example, but an example. So you can have the code behind it, right? So instead of having to have 1,000 agents, maybe you have 1,000 agents and you have code now behind you. And a lot of time at brokerage, you have media behind you too now because you're doing at scale. But the skills needed to do these different things is vastly different. Now, think about the lifestyle of what a real estate agent is that's a high producer, okay? How many hours are they putting in? How many drives are they doing? How many showings? How many things are they doing? Now, a broker, imagine what their lifestyle is. They now have all the people management. They have constant, marketing basically for the overall, as well as to get new people. So they have acquisition of people. They have acquisition of leads that then come in that then they funnel down, but they make their percentage there. So is that a better lifestyle? Up to you. The real estate agent has basically unlimited freedom to want to work when they want and just get commission when they don't. A brokerage is a full-on business in that way. Scale step up to a software and the headaches and the amount of things and the different types of management and team, the marketing of SaaS, the engineering of SaaS, and then having, depending on what you're doing, B2B versus B2C, is this consumer level real estate? Is this B2B real estate? Now you have an entire sales division for that you're selling. You have constant product iterate, like the level of skills that you must stack in order to do that. Think of a sales rep. There's a sales rep that's on your team. They want to sell. They make their commission. They're cool. They clock out when they're done. They're done. Go to the next layer. You have sales manager that then has all the sales people under them, makes override. You have people who run sales agencies. You have people who run entire sales. Like it just, everything has depth and you can climb up ladders of them. The question is if you want to. The question is if you know that it's there and have the perspective to say, okay, wait, I can stay a media buyer, and it's so oversimplified. These guys are some of like the smartest guys I've ever met. So like, it's not to say it's the bottom of the rung, but like you can be a media buyer and have a couple other media buyers under you. So you never really hit the offer owner, and you can spend $1 million a day at whatever margin you want to call it across these guys because they went so deep in it. Another example, somebody was running ACA, so the health, right, lead gen style thing, so Affordable Care Act. You have media buyers running it. You have like every piece of the transaction. You have media buyers running it. You have agencies that then are a lot of time over the media buyers. In some cases, sometimes through solo lead gen. You have brokers that are between them that are brokering the deal. You have the call center section that's taking in all the leads. You have then who is the actual like buyer of them. So what insurance middle, right? Then you have the actual, and then you have like fucking government, right, on the other side of it. So as an example, but like you get to choose where you sit in the supply chain version of this. And at different levels, you get different depth. The different depths of those have different returns, have different lifestyles you have, and. Okay. So the entire concept of this is somebody messaged me yesterday and was talking about it. And then I had a conversation at dinner that was around real estate on how they bought a piece of land. They basically demolished it, and somebody came and bought it right there for like double what they paid. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, why? The next step of what they did was that person then went and got permits and doing all the things they needed, and I forget the exact word, but some government like licensing thing, that this was swampland, and they basically got all these grants back, and they saved over half the purchase price right there in credits. Then developed a ton of multifamily on it. This is their plan to do. Develop a ton of multifamily on it, and then they will either hold or then sell it. So up that food chain, you have somebody who in the transaction was a real estate agent. You have somebody who just bought land or for another idea, somebody who then did the permitting and licensing, who then had double the value or assumed value on it. Then you have somebody who's going to develop on it and have it as multifamily. And then you have someone who's either going to hold that, which is that person, or is going to sell that to someone who owns 400 other multifamilies, all from that same chain. So how deep do you want to think into what you're doing? How deep do you want to go within your market? How deep do you want to go within your business model? How many skills do you want to stack, and what points of leverage do you want to use? And I think about this like so often, it's actually annoying. And I don't know, I just felt like I needed to make a video about this. So pros and cons, a lot of the time the simpler ones are more transactional. So a lot of the stuff in media buying, for example, it's like money in, money out, right? Everyone says like the simplest P&L. You spend on ads, you get back commission. That's what it is. Not as simple as that, but like it leans in the direction of that versus somebody who has equity, who builds something up. The guy who is doing garage door installs versus the person who built the entire company that creates the garage, that, you know, manufactures the garage doors and has install teams and whatever, has equity, has a business that can sell. So in that model, even, you know, they're obviously making more per like on dollars, yes, but like the amount of leverage that they have is then also able to exit. Okay. They can also get a large sum for selling the company in their business. Same thing with info. You can just go transactional. You're selling a PDF, you're selling a low ticket, and you're doing it for cash flow. Are you doing it for an exit? Because you can't sell that. You're not selling that ever, right? You need recurring, you need continuity, you need team, you need traffic distribution, you need no founder risk, you need like all of these things. You need proper accounting, you need like everything in there. So how deep do you take info versus being an affiliate that sells somebody's info product versus owning an info product versus managing a large scale info product that has multiple products, SKUs? Then there's the question of at any point, are you going to go and be someone who then splits that and is now selling to multiple markets and doing this in different niches or whatever? Or are you going to go so deep in there that you have multiple SKUs, you make money from everywhere about it, and you have such a full-fledged team, such a full-fledged distribution of how you're doing acquisition, how you're doing fulfillment, how you're doing like everything, that it is such a machine with such future consistent cash that you can sell that thing for 5x, 10x, like whatever the number is. Okay. And across that whole thing, cannot keep saying on this, the skill stacking that is required and how you must level up as a person is like this in order to do these things. And here, simple versus simple, there's a roadmap for all of these. You can look online, you can talk to people, you can whatever. Somebody in your exact same spot, in your same world, or very similar to it, 2% different, has done this to $1 million a month, 10 million a month, 100, like insane numbers within your zone. Okay. They might be doing it in a different niche that's slightly related. They might be doing it with a different traffic source that's slightly related. They might be doing it in something completely different, but the model exists. So it is simple in terms of it is like the roadmap is laid out for this, for this, for this, for this. How hard it is completely different than how simple or how easy it is to explain. Okay. So I can talk game about this and that and whatever. And like all these are my examples. not saying I have done or whatever, I've gone to any level of depth within any of this, but there's always something I'm thinking about is like, how far can we take this? Or how far do you want to take this? Do you want to stop at where you're at and just go deeper within kind of the place you're in? Or do you want to try and level up within there? Do you want to level up through labor, through capital, through media, through code? And is that a lifestyle you want to live where now you manage people, or now you manage systems, or now you have people that manage systems and you manage those people? Like, do you want to have your capital out and using it on return? Do you want to be taking other capital so you can leverage it because of your operational and like your return, the ability you have to get a return? Like, there's all these different games that get so much bigger. And yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting to me. So I hope this one was kind of helpful. It's just like a thought exercise that I think everyone could do a little more of. Just thinking bigger. Just how big can you go? How big do you want to go? Or how deep do you want to go within your sphere? And yeah, I think that can be helpful. So hopefully that one was helpful. Yesterday I talked about, how I learned things and had some questions that were similar to this, and then had a conversation that was basically about this last night. And I was like, I've definitely never talked about that on here. So that's that. Daily update. I do all these videos every day. This is like day 60, I think. Actually have no idea. And if you go to www, have to use that, put it on ClickFunnels. This is my OG funnel hacker shirt. Just left the gym, but /doc will have all the videos, all the different categories they're broken down into, so you can easily filter. Daily update on the company today, actually, the May 8th. We just launched our new sales manager to the team. So we did a complete passover from the one that was with us from 1 million to 3 million a month. And back down, by the way. We're at 1.5 or 1.6 last month. So new sales manager is officially in. 2 of the last 3 days, we've done over 100K a day in new. So that's good. So we're like right there. Now we just need to implement all this and actually execute on what we're doing, or what the plan is more so, and we'll be off to the races. So I'll do some more updates with what we're doing, funnels and tracking and math and things, but I just thought this one would be interesting. So drop some feedback, comments. The comments crack me up when you say some of them. So keep those going. And then, hit me on X or IG as always. Talk soon.